Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, this video is about to be a bit ratchet and literally probably goes against a lot of my morals. But I want to talk about this judge, sorry, who was assaulted by a black man who she was on the case of. And I'm sorry. Let me say this real quick, okay? I don't condone violence. Like, I'm not the girl that's going to go out and do what this man did to that woman. Um, but I don't think folks understand what time they really live in. Okay. And so listen, there is a lot of things that are happening that should be happening that folks really don't seem to understand. They don't understand how to wrap their heads around it, right? So I want to say something when it comes to spirituality and how spirituality works, right? To the average eye, you may seem, if I was a white person, maybe, right? I would see this as an attack. I would be like, oh no, he should go to jail. He's wrong, yada yada. But this reality that folks have created is crashing and falling before our own eyes, right? So to see what we saw in this courtroom, I've been on that other side, right? And I will say this. In my experience, again, my experience is a little bit different because of who I am. And I say that because I genuinely believe I have a level of privilege that a lot of Blacks do not have. And what I mean by privilege is I know I'm a little bit privileged. Okay. I get away with it. I don't get away with it. Right. But people tend to work with me more than others. Okay. Let's put it that way. I know what it was like to be on that other side. And I've never, again, I can genuinely say as a Black woman, I've never been in a position where a judge has made me feel like that. Actually, I take that back. One person, right? But it was weird, okay? And she was not, whatever. But I've never experienced that from a judge. Like, I've never felt like the judge was against me, except in family law, right? That's about it. Any other thing I've committed, any other thing that I've done in my life, like, I feel like judges have always been very fair with me. I don't know about everybody else, okay? But I know what it's like to be in that position. I know how folks, what they say. Like, I don't know that. Let me just say this. People have to really be mindful of the what they say, right? To some degree, right? And how they say it, right? Because I wish that they would have played a full clip of what was being said, what transpired between that judge and this defendant. Because, and again, it's not an excuse, but I think it's important. I think it would be a teaching lesson, right? Because when I'm watching this guy's reaction, something tells me, and I just, at being on that other side, is this lady, this woman, there was something that was said that this young man did not. I don't even know if he was a young man. I don't know, because the clip is so small. Like, they really need to go back and release the whole footage, in my personal opinion, right? So people really know what dude was angry about. I know to the average person, oh, there's no excuse for violence. I'm telling y'all something. Y'all are living in a time where Black ancestors, I want to be very clear, are rising the fuck up. So it ain't, when I say spirituality, we are dealing with spirituality, not the shit that you see with your face and your eyes. It's shit that you cannot see that we are dealing with. So there's a lot of things happening, right? You got a country that is founded on, let me tell you something. I'm going to need some folks to wake up. Okay. I'm not justifying what this young man did, but I'm not going to crucify him for what he did either. I'm going to keep it a buck. The reason being is because I know, like I said, I know how white women talk. I know what they do. I know that some of them are very condescending in their speech. They talk to you like you're a fucking child. Like they just assume black people are dumb, illiterate, and don't know no better. Like I said, in my personal opinion, before I can make a true judgment against this man, I need to see what was actually said. I would like to see what was actually like. Why did that man go off? Right? What was the trigger? And I know a lot of white people like to say, well, black people just pop off just because, but that's not true. You know, I really want to hear from him. Why did you do what you did? And the attorney, the public defender, or whoever was representing him. What triggered this man? Because a lot of things we don't seem to understand, I want to be clear, is very spiritual. And I don't believe that you're seeing things like this happen for no reason. Maybe this man was being used by somebody else. Who knows what this lady did in her past? But I have a feeling, let me tell you, we live in the age of Aquarius. And I keep saying this all the time. I have a feeling that this man was being utilized by something bigger than him, right? To do what he did. And it may not have been her. It could have been, because again, what he just did, do you know how many more black men are going to see this? And they're going to get, there's going to be a level of, what's the word? They feel like they can do it too, because they watch this man do it. Do y'all know, like, if I'm in the back, again, if I was standing where he's standing, and I watched this man do this, right? And or I was behind the screen, because you know the other defendants, I don't know if he was in jail or not. Again, they don't give enough context. But if he was in jail, but he looked like he was in clothes, so I don't know. But if he was in jail, or he did the little, he went to court, there are 9 times out of 10 people who are in jail that were there at that courtroom. Right? That's, I mean, at least in Denver, that's how that works. When you go, you get arrested, right? They may let you out or whatever, but you go into court and there are other criminals in that courtroom with you. So in my opinion, I feel like this was bigger than him. Maybe he reacted. He probably shouldn't have reacted. He didn't know, you know, I don't know what was going through his mind. But to me, that's not worse than a young white man going up and shooting some goddamn school and some kids and a goddamn principal. See, it's very interesting, right? That ain't worse than that, in my opinion. Okay? So I watched this man. He flew over that thing. Like, that shit was crazy. Sorry, y'all. The whole visual of what had happened, in my opinion, was hilarious. Okay. And I know it's very ratchet, right? Because y'all are like, what, CC? But I'm going to be real. I'm a black person first. And not that I subscribe to the community, but I identify with the trouble, like the hardship, the frustration, the triggers. I identify with that shit. I'm sure there's quite a few people that I wish I could have done that too, right? So for me personally, I'm not against this man. I don't think that, again, there have been times in my life, for example, where I made a choice off of not really thinking, just reacting, right? And then come to find out, when I look back on it 5 years from now, that was the best reaction I ever had, because my life got better as a result of. So all these folks that are sitting around saying, oh, well, he's going to get 5 years in prison now. I don't think that man thought about all that. I really don't even think he cares. I think the intent was to do what he did. You see what I'm saying? When people do that shit and they're bold enough to do it on camera, they don't give a fuck. It's about making the fucking point more so than it is, oh, I'm going to go 5 years in prison. So the white person, the mindset is, oh, well, this man did this to her because he doesn't want 6 months of probation. When really, again, how you speak to somebody says everything. I don't know how that woman, I don't know the back and forth. I don't know what transpired, what the man did versus what he didn't do, what she was claiming versus what his actual story is. Because I will never, I'm sorry, I'm not one to just take, I don't listen. Me personally, I don't take anybody's story for truth until I understand and I can piece it for myself, right? So it's easy for this woman to act like a victim. In this situation, she was a victim. The man put his hands on her. That's the only victimhood she got for me. But my question is, and I don't want to be that girl, but why did he do it? What was the trigger? Now, if the trigger is mental health, then, he's got to deal with that. But it's very interesting when I look under the Fox, whatever news I was watching, MSNBC, whatever, because I was trying to get the actual clip of what happened. There's people under the comments talking like a white boy didn't go just shoot up a whole goddamn school and they ain't been doing that for God knows how long. And I don't understand how it's always white males who are shooting up fucking schools. But I'm sorry. It's very interesting how we tend to have sympathy for that kind of man. But then when a black man whoops on a white judge, now all of a sudden it's all this rah-rah and hee-hee. What? What? I need y'all to understand that the system, the very system that is keeping us all divided, the very system that is falling, and it's falling for a reason. That's why I need folks to understand. It's not falling just because a few people made a mistake here and there. No, the country is founded on history that folks have not atoned for. So if you mean to tell me that y'all are going to still be able to sit here and this whole, oh, I'm supreme and I'm better than you, that let me tell you something. Spirituality is humbling some people. It's humbling folks, right? I don't know what that lady did to whoever she did it to, but she did something. She did something. And that man was there to serve her, whatever he had to serve her in that moment. And I know that that sounds very, what's the word? What's the word? It sounds very non-empathetic, right? But I also know what type of creature I'm dealing with. I know what this woman represents, and I know what this black man represents. And I talk about both of them. I know he's got issues, and I damn sure know she may have some issues. Even though she's a judge, she may have some issues, right? And we all can speculate as to what maybe some of those issues are. I'm not saying she does. I'm saying that's a possibility, which is why I would like to know the interaction between her and him. What was said? What was actually done? Because if he's looking at 6 months of probation, I'm telling you now, he didn't do nothing that drastic unless he did, and the judge is going super lenient on him, right? So there was something that transpired, and it could not have been, I would like to think that I cannot assume that it was just more than I don't want to go to jail, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have done it. That was a point. He was making a point. And maybe he woke up, because I know black men too who wake up and they're like, ha ha, hee hee, this is funny. This is stuff that's funny. So they get up and they go do it because they think it's cool. But I think it was bigger than that, because you've never really seen that shit on television. Like, you've never seen that shit. I told you guys 2024 was going to be a time where you're seeing things that are so bizarre that you've never seen before. But the reason why you're seeing things like this is because the system that we are all used to, the matrix, is falling, it's crashing. So now you're seeing glitches here and there. And you're seeing it more and more with blacks and whites because of the history, right? I know white people are like, well, those are my ancestors. I didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't have no stake in that. But again, those are your ancestors. So when you're dealing with spirituality, which we are, if you believe in the Bible, you will know that that is what we're dealing with: spirituality and principalities. That's it. The rest of this shit is man-made. So you have to understand that just because you personally did not have slaves, because you personally did not create this society that we live in, where blacks are made to feel like we're somehow less than, right? We have to struggle just a little bit more. I'm not saying whites don't either, because y'all know damn well I know whites who were poor just like whites who are wealthy. However, the mentality, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily change. So I'm not saying that this was done because she's a white woman, but I know how spirituality works, right? And I know sometimes God uses his strongest soldiers to accomplish what he needs to accomplish. And I'm telling y'all now, y'all are going to continue seeing things like this that are so bizarre. And you may have thought of it one day, but you would never act on it because you already know the consequences of it. You are going to, what was another bizarre thing? It was the, when them black men were at it was the blacks and the whites fighting at the goddamn, what was it? It was like the fucking, where the boats be pulling up and shit. That shit was bizarre. You don't really see shit like that. Not saying it can't happen, you just don't see it. So I don't think this was, I don't want to say it like this, but I do not feel that this man acted like, I do believe that there was a level of spirituality behind it. I also feel the same way with that whole boat thing that happened when them people were brawling, they was fighting and whatever. That was spiritual. And karma is a motherfucker. And it occurs in many different ways. So before I jump to conclusions and I say, oh no, this black man was trash, he was wrong, I cannot. I'm sorry. I cannot, because I've been in his shoes. I don't understand her shoes, right? I know she worked quote unquote hard to get to where she's at, but I don't really know who she is. I know who he is. And I don't have to know him personally. I'm a black woman. I know the experience. I've been in those shoes. Maybe not the same exact crime, but I've been there. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, what was the reason? What happened? Did you wake up today and was like, I'm just going to do this if she gives me this? That's different. Were you triggered by how she was speaking to you? Because, I know people say, well, yeah, he should be in full control of his actions. But I know there's a lot of people who think they can talk to us any kind of way. They can treat us any old kind of way. And I'm sorry, those days are over. I need white people to really understand that. The days of you treating us like complete shit and us just, yes, massa, those days are over. And so I will never, in this type of incident, I will never choose the white lady over the black man. I want to know what happened before I make a decision as to who was really wrong, right? In my mind. Now, he was wrong, right? I'm not going to go out and say that any man should be putting his hands on a fucking woman. That's number one. He was goddamn wrong in that reality, in that aspect of things. The fact that I'm allowed this lady to piss me off so much to where I'm going to jump over, fly over, it seemed like, and attack her. Yeah, that's a problem. That demonstrates just how much of a lack of emotional intelligence this man actually has. And that part I will never deny. But I also know, and anybody who knows what I'm saying knows, ain't no telling what the atmosphere was. And we're not, like I said, we're not in 1806. Like, this is completely different times. And I know some people are still very confused. And so I need people to understand something. We do not live in those time frames anymore. What this man did, it was wrong. However, as a Black woman, I believe that there was a level of spirituality in that. And I know people are like, spirituality, what? Let me be clear. Spirituality is not always good. It don't always look good, right? Sometimes you gotta have your folks who are willing to get down and dirty to handle the job that needs to be done. Do you understand me? And so when you're dealing with ancestors, quote unquote, you can't see them. But you don't mean to tell me that they gonna use some of us Blacks to do what they need to do, to do the things that need to be done, to correct the wrongs that have been done. Like I said, I don't know what the issue was. I do not know who this lady is, but I am curious. I would like to know, okay, what cases did you work on? What? Because I don't believe things happen to people by accident. I genuinely believe everything happens for a reason, even when it doesn't look good and when it does not feel good. So what was the reason? And I'm not looking at it from, oh, he hit her. I want to know the underlying reason. And the only way I feel like I would know that is if everything came out about this judge and the dude, the man. Why was he in court? What did he do? What happened? So I don't mean to laugh, but that shit was funny. Okay, I'm sorry. And the dude in the background sitting there trying to beat on the guy, like, that's how you throw your punches, homie? Like, if it wasn't three of y'all on this Black man, that Black man would have whooped everyone ass, every last one of them. That's what's so cold to me. The little dude in the suit was banging on him like how a woman would be banging on him. Like, he tried, he cared, he had heart, he definitely tried. They took three of them. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for the judge. I have no sympathy for her. I don't know what she did, right? Again, maybe it's because I don't know the lady that I don't have enough sympathy for her. I don't have sympathy for the male. I don't really think the man cares about any consequence that's coming after that. I think there was an intent behind what he did. The scene was wild for us all to see, right? It ain't like that was wild. He was wrong according to man's law. He was wrong. If I'm exercising integrity, he was wrong. If I'm exercising emotional intelligence, he was wrong. Correct. But I don't listen. Everything happens for a reason. None of us know that reason. And we're living in a day and age. The reason why I keep bringing up the ancestors is because, let me tell you, folks are only able to get away with certain shit. We live in the age of Aquarius, and I think y'all are sitting here taking that shit lightly as if that shit ain't a fact. Cat Williams just said it on his interview. We live in the age of truth, and those who are against the truth will perish. That's why I keep telling y'all. Those who are behaving in manners that no longer serve us will perish. So I'm just, what did this lady do? What did her aunt, like, I don't know. But I know that everything happens for a reason. So it sucks that happened to her. I'm sure she didn't wake up today and was like, I want to get hit by a man today. But hey, who am I to judge? I'm nobody to judge. I don't know what this man is being used for. Nobody does. We don't know if this judge was the nicest judge on the planet. Like, we don't know her ins and outs. We don't know her integrity piece. We don't know her story. So who am I to judge? All I could sit back, I laughed because the scene was crazy. That was a crazy ass scene. But let me tell you, I know what it's like being on the other side of the judge. And a part of me was rooting for the motherfucker. I'm just saying. A part of me was really, I didn't have no empathy for this judge. Outside of, damn, That's not, it's fucked up. But it's amazing to me. And this is why I point out the fact that there was this white man, white little boy, 17, who decided he was going to go into a school, right? Where my old roommate's daughter actually goes to school. She was actually right there when that shit happened. White male. I just want to keep reiterating that. Killed somebody and injured I don't know how many people, and they're doing this in grocery stores, they're doing this in schools, and you got white people talking about, oh, mental health. Well, then we need to chop it up to this young man. Maybe this black man had a mental health issue too, right? The lack of emotional intelligence, in my opinion, is a mental health issue. But everybody's running to the defense of this judge. And like I said, that's cool, because what you see on screen is you see a crime happening. But I would like to believe that there's a little more to it that maybe we cannot see. Because that shit was wild. And for it to hit everybody's screen, there's a reason for that. Possibly is the goal to start the race war? Maybe. But I know that people are only going to be looking at it from their perspective and not a bigger perspective. I'm not looking at the two individuals. I'm really not. I'm looking at, okay, God, why did you allow this to happen? Why? Is it to teach this young man a lesson? Maybe. Who knows? Was it to teach her a lesson? I don't know. Because that's a spiritual conversation. So I really believe that this was a spiritual matter more than I know that it happened physically. But I believe that this young man was being used for another reason. I believe a lot of what we see when it comes to Black people just kind of acting out of order, because again, we're not like we'll do it to each other. But you don't really see Black people nowadays. You do, because of the tensions between the two races, right? But most Blacks, usually once you in that courtroom, you know to, do what you got to do. You're not gonna fly over and try to attack a judge. Like that's not a common occurrence. Which tells me, in my spirit of all spirits, that there's more to what we saw than what we actually understand. And so I'm not judging it one way or the other. As a woman, I do not condone violence. I do not condone putting your hands on people without them putting their hands on you. But can I relate? Do I understand where that level of anger may come from? Of course. I'd be lying if I said I did not. So I'm not here to judge that man. I'm sure there's a ton of other people who are there to judge him. I'm not here to judge the judge. But I do know that karma happens and things happen. And sometimes God uses people, whether it be the karma against him and maybe she's being used, right? Because you never know. It could go either way. Maybe he did something in his past that he should be locked up for 5, 6, 7 years, right? And she was going too lenient. Maybe. So maybe, I mean, I don't know. But my intuition says this is bigger than him. This is bigger than her. And if you do not think that that just inspired a whole group of criminals to not give a fuck, oh, y'all got another thing coming. So I'm not blaming this on white people, but I need people to understand something. We live in a time where the white empire, this whole Roman Empire bullshit, that shit's falling. It's crumbling. This is why you have movies of Wakanda, as big as Wakanda, where you got Mexicans and Blacks teaming up. Like, since when? I mean, we do team up, but not at that magnitude, right? I guarantee you, Wakanda 3, you're gonna see the Mexicans and the Blacks together. And y'all already talking about, oh, the white male's the most hated person on the planet. So if the white male's the most hated person on the planet, what you think the white woman is? I don't believe he's the most hated, but I understand what people are saying. But that's what white people be saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what white people are saying. So I really do. I think that If there was ever a leader of the white community, right, and a leader of the black community, like I look at us as like kind of like gangs a little bit. We're not gangs, but I kind of look at it like that. White people, I know y'all are doing well for the most part, and y'all are living y'all's lives. But I do think there needs to be a rethinking process of racism. I think that we need to really understand what racism really looks like, right? And even in your tone, because I experience that shit every day. I just ignore it because it don't pay me. It don't like. That's why I say I feel like I'm a little bit privileged. And I was talking to a white lady about that, and she agreed. So but I was also taught from a very young age how to deal with racism, how to see it, and how to go about it in the right way, not the wrong way. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened, but I'm not here to choose sides. I just know that shit was funny as fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Tell y'all. I just never seen a dude fly over the bench. I mean, over the shit. Sorry, he flew out of nowhere. All you heard was F that, and he just all of a sudden she was talking and dude just flew over the thing. And that shit, that sight for me, and this is why I call it ratchet. Because this is ratchet, right? The responsible side of me should say, that's wrong. He should go to jail. He's wrong. Nope, I'm not being responsible in my speech today. That shit was funny. So I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, I know I got people of all types of races that listen to me, but that shit was funny to me. And I'm not a girl of the system. I do not necessarily support the system. I'm just a law-abiding citizen, so I don't have to deal with none of that bullshit. That's it. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.